Thanks for joining us for Religious Hard Talk. I'm Ian Boyne. Our title says Intuitive Spiritual Counselor. And that will mean a variety of things to a variety of persons and absolutely nothing to many. But what it means is that Jody Stoley is someone who can take you through past life regressions, a person who does channeling, a person who is a shamanic minister, which means that she's in touch with the spirit world. She can call down the spirits, might do that during this program. She does tea leaf reading. She can various readings at that capacity. Any number of things in the spirit world. Religious Hard Talk always pushes the envelope, always exposes you to ideas, to concepts that you are unfamiliar with. Our purpose is to broaden your horizon, to give you perspectives that you would not normally have. Today on Religious Hard Talk, we continue with that raison d'etre. We thank you for having joined us. Jody, good to have you here. I didn't mention you are very much Jamaican.
Yes, absolutely.
You've been living in the States from since the 1970s.
Exactly,
But
78.
you are a St. Elizabeth woman.
Yeah, man, born and grow there and just loving to be back home in Jamaica.
Yes. But you have had extraordinary experiences, beginning here in Jamaica, but certainly accelerating in the United States and Britain. Let us first talk about the path. What I've read about you suggests that you began to have psychic experiences from as early as 6.
Absolutely. You see, Ian, I was born a twin, and I think that when you really look at the dynamics, a twin energy communicates very, very closely through telepathy with their twin. So having that experience from very young allowed me and supported me to have a sensitivity, an extrasensory perception, if you will, of not just the physical, tangible, tactile world. I was always very conscious that there was so much more to life than what I was seeing. And I didn't shut down or turn off when I was perceiving, having a connection and a communication that was other than a physical person communicating to me. And being in touch with nature. I grew up in the country, in Appleton Estate. So when you grow very close to the earth, you become very in tune with aspects that are, I want to use the term, dimensional. There's so much more to us than the 5 senses. And I didn't ever view what I was experiencing as wrong. And I was so thankful for that, because so many times when we might pick up on something
Precisely.
and we feel it, somebody
We close out, we say, Satan.
Exactly. Yes.
Demons.
Demons. And you see, when we really look and go back into the realm of even how we have come through biblical times, there were prophets, there were sages. Jesus himself had to have been.
But the Christian would ask, Jody, how do you know that you are in touch with righteous spirits? When you call up spirits, aren't you doing something that the Bible, more specifically the Old Testament, explicitly condemns?
Well,
call them of the spirits.
Well, I would have to say that when I do work with the non-ordinary reality and deal with certain vibrations, which happen to sometimes be loved ones who have crossed over, you know that the way they communicate, they're really sending back a message. I'm okay. Are you okay? It is based off of the energy of love. It can bring resolution. Can you imagine? I had a woman, a beautiful, beautiful woman, who came and she said, look, I am besides myself. My son committed suicide and I'm feeling very guilty because I've never been able to lay his relationship to rest because of just that. And she says,
And she was feeling guilty. She
oh,
blamed
very
herself.
guilty, very, very,
As
very
do
upset.
many relatives of suicide victims.
Very depressed.
Yes, yes.
Her daughter said this woman is not even able to function as she
Yes.
should. So I said, okay, let's
You called it was
connect.
son.
Her son communicated, and the way that you know that they're communicating is that they say things that I would never know. I wouldn't have known her from Adam. I wouldn't have known the son. And he communicated so,
Through you?
yes, so very precisely.
And you were able to tell her things that she knew you could not have known except you had been in touch with the son.
Absolutely. And the most important thing to know is that healing happens. Healing.
And he was able to help her to assuage her guilt, to let her know it was not her fault.
To take off that mourning cloak that she was in and to resume her life so that she could be a mother to her other children.
So you are doing a great deal of good. That's what you're saying, that your work consists of good.
I would never do this work if it wasn't of God and if it didn't do good. And that is why I stand very much now ready for people to become even more consciously aware that there are things to which we have never been told, and it's only when someone has experienced it does the aspect of that awareness, that truth, become known, so others can then what? Embrace that, wow, this isn't just something happened to me, it's happening to someone else, and we can talk about it without feeling guilty, because our faith in God should never make us feel guilty. In fact, it should empower us, because there's so many different ways to know God, to know love, to know that the worlds that we walk, there is no separation between spirit and matter. But we create
We
a
have
separation.
created these barriers.
We can pick it up, we can connect with them even more directly than if we were to dial a number on a telephone and say,
Is
hi,
that
how
so?
are you?
The spirit world, is that accessible?
Well, Ian, don't take my word for it. Look at the scientific aspect of energy. We are energy, you know. We're electrical beings. We are not just this limitation
Physical,
of flesh.
yes.
And spirit has no boundary.
We are souls trapped in bodies.
Well, I wouldn't say trapped in
even trapped,
bodies.
eh?
We're spiritual beings having a physical experience. And this is a beautiful life to create our body temple, to know that our consciousness, which is really, let's look at the mind and the power of the mind and the brain. I mean, we have 5 senses. And it is said in certain very, very deeply mystical teachings that need not have fear to go delving into the function of a true potential of a human being. That the 5 sensory mind is a finite mind. The multi-sensory mind is the infinite mind. The realm of possibilities and potentiality, we have to direct now the right hemisphere of the brain and open up that consciousness. So that's why we can go beyond the 5 senses, and that's why they call it a 6th sense.
Yes,
or
yes.
the 6th sense is no longer what people are using to measure what it is that we're connecting to, because we are so multidimensional. Our extrasensory is so vast. And
So we can experience a boundlessness.
thank you, abundant. Listen, God's kingdom is abundant.
And Jesus said the kingdom of God is within you.
Thank you. And what do you think he was actually saying? There are aspects of my life, of my teaching, and of the way that I have lived and am living that you also will connect to. Christ consciousness is not about a religion or about
But
a
the
limitation.
institutional church has corrupted the Christ consciousness, has not revealed all that there is and all that Christ brought, you're saying.
Well, I would absolutely say that the institutional church has denied our human right to experience our potential as spiritual beings functioning with that ability to pick up on a person, especially if a person is sick and ill, that it doesn't mean you have to go through an exam to find out what ails them. To be able to
can know.
communicate exactly.
We don't have to go to the doctor.
Oh,
We
absolutely.
don't have to do x-rays.
Well, the fact is, if we knew how to manage our systems well, we'd realize that we'd already know what ails us before it even manifests in the physical body. We'd have a sensitivity. We'd listen to our frequency. They have a very specific system now called body talk, and it's about the body responding without having to go to do an x-ray.
Interesting.
Medical intuitive, people can scan the electrical frequency and pick up intuitively what part of the body ails.
Intuitive spiritual counselor. By the time we are through with this program, you will know exactly what that entails. This is a person who can help you to connect with relatives who have passed through this life, connect with long departed friends, to connect with others in the spirit world. This is a person who claims, at least, and says that she has evidence that the spirit world exists in abundance, and that much of our healing, both physically and mentally, can come through our getting in touch with that spirit world. Religious hard talk. We push the envelope even further. We take our first break.
Religious Hard Talk, brought to you by
Digicel Carib Flex. Receive credit from the USA, UK, Canada, and Cayman the easy way.